Hi, my name is Melusine. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to install your new aquarium silicone fins to your tail. The first step is to take your fins and put them right against the body of your tail. You want to measure the length of the seam you will need. After this is done, you can take a little pin and stick it right in your tail to mark where it's going to be. The next step is to mark your line using a yardstick. The next step is surgery. You cut along the line. Another thing you can do is if you add your fins to a tail that is already textured, it's very important to trim the edge of that texture for a better seam. The next step is to turn your tail inside out. After you're done, you find your seam and you insert your fin right in the cut you've made. The next step is sewing. For sewing, you will need a very strong thread. This is upholstery thread. You will need very large needles and you will need pliers because it's very difficult sometimes to pass both the needle and the thread through all those layers of fabric, neoprene, and silicone. The type of stitch you want to use is a double running stitch where you go across. You can also use a saddle stitch where you use two needles at the same time. The purpose of this stitch is to help the thread push the fabric against the fin, which will hug it to hold it in place. This is much better than the stitch where you go around, which risks ripping both the fabric and your fin. Once that is done, you want to make a base. Again, your base is a mix of aquarium silicone and solvent. You want to do this again in a well-ventilated room using your safety glasses, your mask, and your gloves. So you can use a little paintbrush to cover all of your seams with the base. This creates a foot under your stitch to help strengthen your seam. And you let that dry for 24 hours. The next step, you will be flipping your tail inside out. It is very, very important to use soap. The best soap for this situation is to use just regular dishwashing soap that does not have any oils for your hands, for example. The reason that you will use the soap is to help the tail slide on itself. If you already have a lot of silicone in your tail, it will be very difficult if it's dry to slide in on itself and will pull on the seams of your fins and you risk ripping your fins at the seams. Thus, it's very important to use soap. Once that is done, it's a good idea to do that in your bath or your shower. You want to rinse your tail as well as possible, focusing on the seams around the fins. Why this is very important is that when you will be sealing those fins, if there's soap left, it will prevent the silicone from sticking. So you want to rinse as well as possible with warm water. You let your tail dry overnight. Once that is done, you want to clean your seams. To clean your seams and get rid of any residual soap, you will use solvent and a brush. And you have to brush right in those seams. You can let dry for about 1 hour. Once that is done, you want to either pipe. You have the choice of piping your silicone right in your seams, or for a nicer finish, you can make yourself some base by putting some silicone in a Ziploc, adding a bit of solvent. You close your Ziploc, mix it together, and then you snip the tip and use that as like a pastry piping bag, and then you can pipe right on the seams. You let that dry for 24 hours, and then the fun part begins. You get to do a swim test. Test it in the pool, see what happens. Then after that, inspect your seams. You may need a bit of repairs. You can use, again, either regular aquarium silicone or a base in a piping bag. And enjoy! All that's left is the touch-ups. Have fun!